Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. We're chatting Leeds United 3, Millwall 0. I'm Stephen Brown, and joining me as ever to discuss all things Leeds United is Jason Booker. Well, there we go. We've won a football match.
Nice, isn't it, mate?
Can't believe it. 3-0 against Millwall as well.
Yeah.
Jason, take us away. Your initial reaction to it, mate.
I'm buzzing, mate. I mean, what's not to like really today? First off, getting 3 points. Secondly, beating them at their place, because they certainly, I would consider them a rival. And even more really impressively was the performance. I thought we were great today. There were moments, but there's going to be moments. You're in a game of football where two teams are trying to win the game. Away from home, they started well. Did Millwall first 10 minutes? They threw quite a bit at us. We looked a bit shaky every now and again in between Melly and the centre backs. But I thought right from minute one, Rodon set the expectations of what defending were about, and just we're in the way of everything. Read everything perfectly. I said to you, he's just Ben White 2.0 for me. Like he even carries the ball like him. He runs out from the back like him. He reads the game so well. He's decent in distribution. I don't think he's got the ceiling of Ben White, but I think he's very similar to what Ben White brought in that team, a few years ago. I'm full of superlatives, and I don't want to kind of run away with talking about all the individuals too quickly, but honestly, there is some players in that team that belong nowhere near Championship football.
We're just above.
We're going to talk about him every week, mate. We're going to talk about him every week. You know what I'm going to say, but Ethan Ampadu is just ridiculous. He's ridiculous. For me, he could easily command a position in any top 10 team in the world. So, I'm not saying that he'd play games week in, week out in a Champions League team. I'm not saying that, but he would play a role in any of them big teams. You think of Chelsea and some of the players that they've let go and replaced Ampadu with technically in their squads. He's a cut above, mate, and easily could get into a Brentford, a Crystal Palace, an Aston Villa. Like, he would not look at that place in any of them. And then you think about around the world, in Serie A and Bundesliga, some of the teams that would be in and amongst the top 10. What he's doing in the Championship, I just don't know. And how we've managed to nail him down to a 4+1 deal is just crazy. He's so good. Good.
That it's a special bit of recruitment, that, isn't it? And you just got to say hats off to Hammond, the 49ers, for making that deal happen. Because
Daniel Farke selling the project too.
Absolutely. And to be honest, I mean, I've seen a tweet, actually, this is from Phil Hay, he's saying, aside from anything else, there isn't a summer signing who hasn't looked good or decent so far. Recruitment, looks to have given Leeds a real chance. And like you say, before we kind of get into specifics, let's rewind. Let's go back to the start, the lineup. I mean, any shocks in there, really? I mean, some people thought maybe Archie Gray would get a rest. Obviously, he didn't have go on the international trip with England. Problem for me with Archie is he's just so damn good, and he slots in so well, and he does everything right. And I, on one hand, I'm going, like we mentioned before, you don't want to kind of overplay him and the problems that can lead to, but he's just so good as well, and he complements Ampadu beautifully. But I mean, apart from that, were there any kind of shocks in the lineup? Or
my initial feeling when I saw the lineup was I was a bit surprised to not see Kamara or Gruev in alongside Ampadu. I was of that kind of opinion that Gray might come out for this one. But you know what? Fair play to Daniel Farke for trusting him, and fair play to Archie Gray. That is not a very nice place to go in that battle in the most important part of the pitch. And I thought first half, he equipped himself really well. I thought for the first 20 minutes of the second half, I thought he went a little bit quiet. I thought he disappeared from the game a little bit. And I think he's still I still think he can find, if we're critiquing his game, it doesn't matter whether he's 17 or not, he's starting games for Leeds United in the Championship. You have to analyse the game just the same as if he's a 26-year-old pro, if he's been trusted with that position. And I think we've seen throughout the season that he has spells within games where he just becomes a little bit vacant. And I think we had a little bit of that start of the second half, but grew back into the game again, tough in the tackle, never wasted possession really, never made a mistake, always really comfortable in possession. He vindicated Farke trusting him in that position. I'm glad to see Byron back in and play 90. Even though Shackleton's equipped himself well, I do not want to have to be banking on Shackleton at left back. We shouldn't be in that position. We shouldn't be really be in a position where we're banking on Byron at left back, given the fact that he's a right back. But that's where we are. He's certainly more equipped to the position than Shackleton is. So yeah, happy to see that. And I was surprised to see the same three in behind Pirro behind them three. I thought that Anthony would probably come in for one of them. But maybe, not quite up to speed with the way that Farke wants him to play. I do imagine that Anthony will start. But that were it really, yeah. Like everything else was as we would expect. I did think there might have been an outside chance that we saw Cooper over Struijk, given that he were back in training. But then the fact that he didn't make the squad altogether tells me that he probably weren't fit or fit enough yet to play any part. So yeah, fairly content and comfortable with the lineup.
Fantastic. Richo, afternoon. Great win away from home. Thanks, Richo. If you're watching along, please do smash a like on the video. Get your comments in. Cheers,
does that Richo. Feel?
Yeah. 3-0 at the Den. I don't think I'd ever believe that I will be saying those words today. I mean, you can go back even before the lineup. I thought this had the hallmarks of a difficult afternoon for Leeds. The fact that it's Millwall, a reception that the players got off the bus, Millwall fans getting stuck into them. And it's one of those things where, in recent years, certainly the two Premier League campaigns, we've crumbled in difficult atmospheres. Goodison's a perfect example of how we just cannot play at Goodison. And we don't have a good record away against Millwall. And yeah, I think you're spot on as well. You're looking at someone like Gray coming in, his age and everything like that. But they handled the atmosphere, didn't they? Handled that pressure cooker well, didn't they, Jason?
I thought they were perfect today. I really did. Like, they were perfect's maybe a strong word, but they handled the whole situation really well. Like they came out, they understood the fact that they were going to have to deal with a little bit early. They understood that they were going to have to deal with a lot of balls over the top. I mean, Millwall, when they were out of possession, when they then retrieved possession 20, 30 yards outside their own box, they just lumped it. It just went back over the top. Pascal and Rodon dealt with 95% of them extremely well. There were a couple where it was like, and Meslier made a couple of hairy moments as well. But overall, they dealt with the occasion really, really well. I mean, I've been at Millwall a couple of times. I think I was there the last time Leeds won. Andy Hughes and David Prutton scored in League One. I don't know if you remember that. But their atmosphere is a bit strange, I think, because they don't really have a repertoire of songs. It's not like a cauldron. And I think if they're behind, I think they struggle to kind of make that atmosphere. And that thing that they do, I just don't get it. I don't get it. They're just so tin pot.
Yeah.
But
it feels great to beat them, doesn't it?
Oh, it really does.
Yeah, I've got to admit, because I always like, try and scribble a few notes if I get a chance from watching the game. And I probably wrote the most notes kind of within the first 15, 20 minutes, because there were things I was seeing. I was like, I thought Struijk and Meslier looked a little bit like last year's Struijk and Meslier. And there was a bit where I messaged you as well, where it's like Ayling and Struijk like crashed into each other going back. Yeah. And then Meslier,
that was Ayling's fault for me.
This is it was because he's just piles into Struijk.
Well, he's facing his own goal, and Struijk's facing the way that we want the player to go. So Ayling should just get out of the way and let Struijk deal with it. But
weird.
I mean, look, it's like I said to you earlier, we are going to have moments in games where we don't dominate. And Millwall away, especially in the first 10 minutes, they're going to throw the kitchen sinkers. But really, Meslier didn't have much to do.
No.
He had one fairly decent chance that he needed to save towards the end of the first half. And then there were a moment where Struijk let him get in at the beginning of the second half and he hit it straight at Meslier. But there weren't much to do. Yeah, Meslier flapped at a couple of deliveries that he could have maybe done better with. But I think overall they equipped themselves pretty well. I mean, I think over 90 minutes, the quality difference really showed.
Oh,
the quality that we have in comparison to that team, that is such a championship squad. Players like Ryan Leonard and Billy Mitchell and Duncan Watmore coming off the bench. Like, it's just so championship.
Yeah.
Just top performance really.
Yeah, I mean, it helps as well, doesn't it? You know, if you're a striker and a Melian, if you've got Rode on there, and you know Byron plays with that confidence as well. I think that's what we've got this season. I mean, Rode on. I mean, I would have taken him last year in the Premier League with the standard he's
Absolutely.
at. It just looks exactly what we've needed at centre back. You know, composed, calm, just everything you need, really. Man, I think you're right. I think the quality in the end absolutely did tell.
I think. Sorry, Browney. I think Rodon starts week in, week out for Sheffield United, Forest, Luton. Like, you compare him against any of their centre backs, I think he's better than them all. So, you know, again, like the fact that we've got him in the Championship, it just stands out to where we're at, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Rutter is getting more confident each game. Thanks for that, OSP. Yeah, we're going to get onto those boys as well. The goal, I mean, that first goal, Jace, I mean, first of all, can I say Ayling does unbelievably well. He's scrambling around, sliding on his chest. Somehow the ball doesn't hit his arm. I didn't think it was a foul by Perot in the build.
It definitely wasn't a foul.
I just didn't think it was a foul at all.
He dived.
Yeah, and then the move to get the ball going, I mean, it was just unbelievable. I mean, that is when we talk about Leeds' forward line and how good it can be. I mean, that was just like the Ipswich away performance, wasn't it? It was just, you know, so fantastic football.
Rutter is just fantastic at running with the ball, especially from deep. Like if he's crossing the halfway line, he just beats people for fun when he's got that amount of space in front of him, and he carries the ball at pace as well. He actually carries the ball quicker than how he runs without the ball. I don't know how that's possible, but he seems to do that. And then his decision making was perfect. He plays it out to Nonto. Pirot lets the ball run back underneath him into Rutter, and Rutter just first time into Pirot's stride. And the second Pirot took that first touch, I knew he'd scored. I knew he'd scored. And bear in mind that lad is left-footed, right? And he does that process, takes control of it on his right foot, and then strikes the ball with his right foot as if he's natural on his right foot. He's extreme. He's the most natural finisher that we've had in years and years and years. And I'm talking going as far back as probably Chris Wood, Ross McCormack. Like he's that naturally. We've not had a striker like that for years. Because Bamford was never that striker. Roof was never that striker, even though he could finish. You know, Hernandez, Rafinha, you would probably say were natural footballers, but they weren't natural finishers. He's just out and out quality in front of goal.
Yeah, you trust him, don't you? That's the big thing as well. I mean, this is really unfair to say, but I'm still in that phase of like comparing what we get with Bamford versus him, and Bamford never finishes that in a million years.
Bamford won't be that one though. So if Bamford comes back into the side, Bamford will be the one laying it off to Pirot in that position where Rutter is. You know, because I think Rutter's similar in that, as well as he took his finish today, I don't think he's a natural finisher. I think he can finish and he can be a scorer of great goals, but there's a big difference. Pirot is just a natural predator in front of goal. You know, like I'm not comparing him to these names, but Robbie Fowler, Teddy Sheringham, you know, just in and around the box, they just put the ball past the keeper nearly every time. I mean, it flashed up his stats. 99 games, 49 goals, I think it is. It's a goal every other game. Like that is serious at any level.
Not an accident, is it? It's not a fluke, is it, when you've got that kind of record? I mean, you know, for his second goal, you know, the fact that he's got that instinct to get in there and make that goal happen, we've just not had that. I mean, there was that chance where Nonto whipped in a great ball, and it was almost a shame that he was just in that position further back. Obviously, that wasn't really his fault because that's where he was.
Did you see how much space he had though? He had so much space. If you watch that back, he had like 10 yards in front of him. If it had come to him, he had a free strike and goal. But the problem with that is the person that had taken up the position in the 9 role was Somerville, and it wasn't natural for him to get in the 6-yard box, and Rutter was out on the right. So you're absolutely right. That should have been another clear chance at very least.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, speaking on Rutter as well, I think, you know, he had a mixed reaction. You know, how he played against Sheffield Wednesday, but I mean, he's one of them. He's ridiculously talented, and the way he beats people, I
thought he was excellent today.
Yeah, he was. I mean, the way he can protect the ball as well, you know, that kind of thing is really well. And you know, a couple of times working back the other side as well and getting his tackles in and things. You know, and you just look at it. He's like kind of a fully rounded kind of forward, isn't he?
He uses his body extremely well. Like gets himself in front of the defender. You know, he probably should have had 2 or 3 more free kicks today. But by the way, I'm just going to use this opportunity to remind me to come back to Rutter. The referee today, 100%, were on his Sky Bet account and had no yellow cards on his about 75 to 1. Not a single yellow card. Ryan Leonard should have had about 6. Right? I don't know. I mean,
crazy.
We should have had a couple as well. I think Archie.
Nonto shirt pull, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah,
right.
That's a guaranteed yellow card. I still didn't book him. Anyway, yeah, going back to Rutter, I thought he was excellent today. Like he's, like I say, his pace when he's carrying the ball is excellent. His movement on the ball, he sends defenders the wrong way and opens up space for himself. His weight of pass, usually attackers, especially players that play as a 9, they're not particularly good at getting that weight of pass correct, and he seems to get it right nearly every time. Yeah. Both feet can go both ways, and he took his finish extremely well. Really, really good finish. You know, no pressure, and he looks like he's enjoying himself. It looks like he's having fun. I don't know if you saw him midweek on the TikTok challenge. It just looks like he's enjoying himself, and it's good to see. Right, it's really, really good to see.
Yeah, I'm going to say that actually because I think as the season built up, it was clear that he wasn't angling for a move. Yeah. He wasn't going to be let go. There was one rumour, I think, with Leon that popped up last week of the transfer window, but it never felt anything concrete. And he feels like someone who really wants to make this work. And, you know, a lot of the PR with Leeds as well has been heading that way. Like you say, there with the TikTok challenge. And, you know, he comes across really well on that kind of thing as well. And it's just nice to see it turn around for him because it was a crazy situation that he was parachuted into in January.
Absolutely. It's not his fault that he were bought for 35 million quid. You know, like he's made the move. By all intents and purposes, didn't really want to leave Hoffenheim either at the time. But when that offer came in, they couldn't refuse it. It's understandable. And I think there's probably an angle to say with Rutter that, let's say he was on 10, 15 grand a week when he was at Hoffenheim. He then got put on 65 grand a week, apparently, which is crazy. But if his wage was halved, he's only had that increase in wage for 6 months, and then he's now on 35 grand, which is still treble what he was on before. So he's probably not in a position where he's like, I desperately need to earn that money, or I desperately want to earn that money. So he's probably prepared to give us a season on the reduced rates of the contract. You know what I mean? And I think it's good for him. I think this is really good for him, playing week in, week out, getting confidence, you know, showing what he's about. He's clearly talented. We can see, we have been, you know, Ipswich and again today, we've been able to see that he's clearly got some ability.
Absolutely. It's just consistency, isn't it? And it's putting, you know, I don't know what's going on in the home games this season. We seem to be struggling a little bit more at home so far. Probably get to that ahead as well. Someone who had a bit of a mixed game for me, Somerville. Now I am a fan. We can differ a little bit on what we think of Crescencio. I thought it was a little bit too greedy today, hung on to the ball too long, decision making a little bit off. I thought it was definitely one of his lesser games, and I think, you know, the impact the subs make, you do wonder, you know, what Farke will choose to do in that role because we've got so many options.
I'm just going to say, Brownie, you're having a bit of jargon computery going on. I don't know if you got a bit of bad signal, you come in and out. I can make out what you're saying, but you're stopping and starting on your camera, and sometimes I
can see my little low signal on. I've got it plugged in as well, so I don't know what's going on. There we go.
I'm just making you aware.
Thank you.
Yeah, Somerville. I mean, we've disagreed on him before, haven't we? And I'm not like a Somerville hater or anything. Like I see his qualities. I just think you have to wait you have to put up with a few bad instances before you get the good one. So he'll either hold on to it too long, he'll give away possession, he'll run into a corner, he'll outrun it. You know, like he had one in the first half down the left-hand side where he'd broken free, done really, really well, carried the ball about 10, 15 yards, and then one big heavy touch and it gave the possession away, and you turn him possession back over again. And there were several times in the second half where I'm like, release, give it to Ayling. And then he gave it to Ayling, and Ayling were offside because he missed the opportunity to pass in. And it's like, it is frustrating, but it's part of his game. He's got such super raw talent and super raw pace, which players don't don't like to deal with. But I personally think that James and Anthony, when Anthony's fully up and running, will offer us a bit more consistently than Somerville, personally. But then you've got this 10 situation, haven't you, which I don't know who's going to fill that long term. They look like they're going to persist with Pirot arriving a little bit later, and that's where he picks up a lot of his chances. And who are we to kind of, disprove that? I do think it's different away than it is to the home games, though, because, teams have to come out and play a little bit more at home. They can't sit back and low blockers for 90 minutes like Sheffield Wednesday did. And we need to be better at dealing with that when them moments come up. But them games can sometimes be on a moment, can't they? Against Sheffield Wednesday, if we take one of the chances and we go 1-0 up early on, it's a different game. It's a completely and utterly different game. They cannot then sit in for 90 minutes and hope to hold on to a draw. They just can't. So I'm not too worried about it. It'll be nice when we get that first home win out of the way and done, for sure. Oh, I think he's gone, chat. I think that's it. It held on long enough. Oh, no, I can hear him. He's back again. But he can't. Oh, dear God. This is like Leeds United's Premier League time, right? We don't have too many technical issues, to be fair, I don't think. Be interesting if you guys in the chat can, tell us what your thoughts of the home performances are so far. That'll be an interesting one to kind of get a bit of debate on. I think we have so much more kind of space to work with away from home. The pressure's not quite there, and like I said, they just can't sit in the low block. They just can't sit for 90 minutes and hope to get a point out. The home fans won't allow it, especially somewhere like Millwall. Hello,
am I back?
You're right now.
Am I in real time?
You're back.
Yeah?
You're back. You're real time.
It worked. Sorry, guys. There we go. Technical issues and all that. Yes. Well, I was going to say actually, Jason. When the subs came on, I don't think Millwall were prepared at all for that change in pace, were they? It just felt like it just gave a totally different dynamic, and they couldn't handle it at all, could they? Really?
I think last week or the week before, Farke got it wrong with regards to the changes and how late they came. I think this week he got it perfect. I think he got it spot on. Somerville, for me, needed to come off, and Dan James completely changed the situation. And it is what it is. Like, even the Pirot goal was a little bit hilarious. There's a little bit of Rutter's fault, though. He played it right underneath Dan James's feet.
Yeah.
But, that were all started by Dan James, and then the dragging players out of position and the speed. I mean, I think it was Wallace should have been carded within about 2 minutes of James coming on. He checked his run. That happened constantly throughout the game, by the way, and it just got ignored. But yeah, I thought James was great, and then obviously he gets another assist for the third. Again, that's his pace stretching team. So yeah, he got it perfect, and that's what a squad's about. It shouldn't just be 11 on the pitch, and then when you look to the bench, you haven't got somebody that can really challenge for a first team position. Dan James comes on and gets 2 assists today. That's how it should be.
Yeah,
we bring on a Bulgarian international. We bring on a Finnish international in Glenn Kamara, who's obviously had a pretty good career himself. Like, we had real quality coming off that bench today. Gellert can get some minutes, fine. You know what I mean? Like, that's exactly how it should be. Exactly how it should be. So, yeah, I don't think they dealt with it very well. Jaden Anthony even showed a few flashes in the opportunities that he got. I think he's going to be a right signing. I think he's going to be a top signing. I think it's gone under the radar because of the circumstances that came around. But if any other championship squad had signed Jaden Anthony on the back of a Premier League campaign where he'd played 30 times, started however many games, but 30 appearances, played 44 games in 46 the season before as Bournemouth got promoted, you'd be like, that is a top signing. And we've got him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's exciting, really. It felt like by the end of the game, you kind of had a full look at the potential of this squad, and the fact that you can bring on players. I mean, Dan James is a completely different player to Somerville, and it just worked perfectly.
Changes.
Millwall all day were used to trying to stop this little tricky dribbler, and then all of a sudden you got someone that's so direct and fast. It's just a different threat.
It felt a bit unfair, didn't it? It felt, it's exactly what we should be doing, considering the fact that we've just been relegated out of the Premier League after 3 seasons. This is what we should be able to do. But it did feel like there were leagues between the two teams. As much as they tried to make it difficult and put themselves about and the home crowd and all the rest of it, it didn't matter because the quality was just such a vast difference between the two teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're spot on about Jadon Anthony as well. You can see he's just got that bit between his teeth as well.
Yeah.
He's got a lot to prove. You know, he's going to be wanting to ram that down Bournemouth's throat. The fact that they threw him out the club, you know, an hour before the transfer window closed, and it's cooking away nicely. And like you say, even Gellert gets on and gets a few minutes, and you know, it's that depth, isn't it? You know, we were so used to scraps, weren't we?
Yeah.
You know, absolutely. And, you know, you made this point before that actually this team looks stronger than the one that we had in the Premier League last year.
I think it's night and day. I think it's not all about quality too. Like quality is huge, but the mentality of this team is night and day from last year's team. You know, when you compare the likes of Joe Rodon to Robin Koch, or you compare the likes of Ampadu to Weston McKennie, or even Mark Rocker, who I quite liked, you know, and this goes through the team. Like they want to be here, they really want to be a part of this, and they're prepared to put themselves on the line for it. Look at that challenge that Ampadu put in with a minute to go, and he took a right whack, and that's you know a part. I mean, again, we talked about getting the clean sheet against Sheffield Wednesday. And I think we had a bit of a disagreement on how important it was. And I, you know, my opinion of it is that it proves to them, even against Sheffield Wednesday, not a great team, that they can keep a clean sheet. And then we've backed that up again today with a really good clean sheet today. And, you know, really, like I said earlier, they didn't have that many chances. Teams are always going to have some chances, especially when we play away from home. So, you know, I think we're building some real platforms. And like I said, quality in this league, I think we've got more quality than most of the teams. And I think the desire, passion, I love Daniel Farke as well. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but there were about 10 minutes in and Daniel Farke were going ballistic. Like it was to Melly and Aileen, he's like, dang, oh my God. It's going absolutely
They need that sometimes.
Yeah. But I think he's got this perception that he's this kind of warm, cuddly guy. I don't think he's that at all, mate. I think he's a bit of disciplinarian.
Who was it? I think it was actually Ampadu where he was screaming at him first half as well. Ampadu played long ball and then he went straight back over top and they got a break and he was screaming his head off. You're like, good, that's what we need. You know, not having Garcia kind of stood there just watching it happen, you know.
Passive.
Bit of bad news has come through though. I've just seen Adam Pope 10 minutes ago. Jed Spence is out for several weeks with lateral ligament damage, which is that's a shame, isn't it? There's always has to be something that they're dropping it. Yeah, so that's I think you know there's still options at right back. I mean, Ayling's such an interesting one, isn't it? It's the good and the bad, and physically, I think he's beatable quite a lot. I think he's physically can get beaten quite a lot in this league, but you know he's got that kind of nous in some situations. You know, he's clever, isn't he? Ailing flops, etc. and that. Yeah. But it would have been lovely to have Spence.
Well, look, we've got another 4 games now before another international break.
Yeah.
So we've got another 2 week off then. So let's just say that he's out for 6 weeks. Hopefully he'll be back after that international break. I mean, it's part of the season, isn't it? It's part of football. You get injuries, and that's why you have a squad. You always laugh at the fact that Ayling's got away with it again. Man. Like he survives again.
He will survive again, that guy.
It's a shame. It's obviously a shame because I think Jed Spence probably is the best right back in the league. And I think going forward, I think he offers us so much. But it is what it is. It just is what it is. As long as we've got Byram on the other side, I'm not too unhappy with the lineup. I mean, I'd even be considering Byram at right back and Mr. Firpo.
Hang on. He's dropped it in there. He's dropped that name in.
If Daniel Farke rates him as much as what we're hearing, the problem is with Firpo is he'll never be injured long enough to get a consistent span of games together to show us if he's able in the championship. I don't rate him at all. Like I don't even think he's League One level. But from what we're hearing, Farke likes him. So we've got options. We can't really miss what we don't have, I guess.
No,
right
exactly.
now.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So,
you know, even you could do Byram and Shacks, couldn't you? Really, you know, you never know. You could end up at that. Some other comments coming in from Farke. He says the relationship between Rutter and Pirro is growing, but emphasise the clean sheet. Yeah. But emphasise the clean sheet. It's important. 4 unbeaten and points racking up. That moves Leeds up to 10th now. squeezing up a little bit. Southampton just one spot ahead of us, but they're kind of going in reverse gear at the minute.
Browney, like put it this way, right? After how many games have we had now? 6?
6, yeah.
6 games.
6,
Whose position would you prefer to be in? Leeds' or Southampton's? They've just come off the back of conceding 9 goals. You know what I mean? And got smacked by Leicester at home. Or Leeds, building a bit of momentum. Sure, they dropped points against Sheffield Wednesday, but it's looking all right, mate. There ain't many teams that will go to Millwall and win 3-0 as comfortably as we did today. There ain't many.
We're looking nicely poised, aren't we? We're scoring quite a few goals when we get to it as well. I guess it's just going to be this home form, isn't it? We need to kind of prove ourselves a little bit at home, don't we? We haven't won at home, have we? So we need to.
We've also not lost.
We're not lost as well. Yeah, that's true.
We've lost a lot of games. We said this the other week. We've lost a lot of games over the past 2 years, not just last season, the season before as well. And this season, we've lost one game in 90 minutes, and that were to a 92nd minute penalty, which were a bit dubious. You know what I mean? Like we have to deal with it with a little bit of perspective. And, Ipswich away, who, look like they're going to be right up there. 4-3. I think there were moments in that game where, they could probably consider themselves unlucky, but at the same time, we shot ourselves in the foot to concede 3 goals. We still smashed them when we went the other way. And then today, it is a hallmark, a 3-0 win at the Den of a team that's going to be in and around promotion. There ain't many teams that will do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think I've almost got to change my mindset a little bit on Leeds United, because I've been so scarred from 2 years of losing so many football games and seeing the fragility of players and players not being up to standard. That today I came at the game thinking, don't see how we win this. But then you watch the game, you see the talent.
It's totally different, isn't it?
It's totally different. Yeah. We've completely handled that today.
They've looked solid too. Like they've looked really, really solid. Like Ipswich aside, when we went a little bit mad and maybe the first half of Cardiff, most of the time the team have looked really solid. Mellier's not dealing with chances constantly, and then when they do get through, and Mellier's making saves again. Like he's not looking like the keeper of the last 2 seasons. I'm not saying he's fully back to what he was before, but he's certainly not looking as fragile as he has done. It looks like we're capable of withstanding pressure. And with the likes of Ampadu and Gray in front of a back line, like that's what you get. So Byram's a shout as well for today. I just like he's playing out of position really, but he's obviously become accustomed to playing left back. And I just think he just looks quality. He's miles better than Junior Firpo. He's just a miles better player.
The way he carries a football forward, like the way he carries it up 20, 30 yards up the pitch, and it's dynamic and it's front foot. It's not tentative, and his decision making is always spot on. I mean, if he plays 25 games, which I think, with his injury record would be decent, but zero fee on a free. Can you imagine?
It's a no-brainer.
It's unbelievable.
The wage won't even be much either.
No, I mean to get someone to come in, like we say, the recruitment's just been so good.
He's adapted his game really well to playing at left back as well. Like when he gets to the byline and he has to cross with his left foot, that is always going to be a little bit weaker than an actual left-footed player. That's where the biggest problem lies in comparison to playing an out-and-out left back there. But when he's carrying the ball down the wing, he has adapted his game to being able to play with his left foot or play with the outside of his right foot and it not compromise him. So then it also allows him to be able to go inside and it actually be natural as well. So there were some moments, especially first half today, where he was basically playing centre midfield. Like he was literally picking like these spaces up in the half spaces in between like Gray and Ampadu and driving into midfield. So like for me, if he can stay fit, it's an absolute wonder signing. I'd be delighted if we could get 25, 30 games out of him, to be honest.
No, it'd be fantastic. Yeah. And it's that thing of where, as well, you know, he has got the shoulders to handle an Ellen Road crowd. He's proved it, you know, when he came through the ranks, you know, he's homegrown, you know, and that's something those homegrown players have. They seem to be able to handle that kind of spotlight. Gregory, thanks for your comment, mate. Frustrating to hear about Spence. It is indeed. Please smash a like on the video. Get your comments in as well. It is frustrating to hear about Spence, but, you know, as we say, you know, it is another international break. In a few games' time, and hopefully
injuries happen, don't they?
Injuries happen, yeah. It's going to happen, isn't it? Looking forward, then, Jason. It's Hull up next. What kind of challenge do you think that's going to present? I mean, they're doing pretty well themselves.
Good side. They've got some good players. I like Rossini. I think he's a good manager. I think it'll be similar-ish to today with a little bit more quality. And I would imagine that if we play the way that we should, we'll win the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I absolutely, you know, think we've got enough to be winning nearly every game that we play this season. Like, there's not going to be a game that I go into home or away this season where I think we can't get 3 points here. It's not like that in this division. So yeah, I think we show what we've got, you know, done today. Hopefully the day's rest, because I do think this has been a little bit crappy. I know Daniel Farke alluded to it the other day, and I'm not for making excuses, but you know, Sunday to Monday is very different to Friday. Sorry, Sunday to Wednesday is very different to Monday. Friday to Wednesday. yeah. So they've got 5 days rest, we've got 3 days rest, and we're playing back-to-back away games.
But yeah, it's tricky.
It's
the championship, isn't it?
Yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? And I think, you know, the players might want the games to come thick and fast. And the truth is, we've got the squad to deal with it. Like, we now do have the squad to deal with it. So let's have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's have it. And come away with 3 points. And then we got Watford at home.
Yeah, I believe so. Watford at home. Let me have a quick
on the
check
Saturday.
On yeah,
Watford at home, Southampton away the Saturday after, innit? We've got thick, you know, games coming thick and fast. But I think the championship, with the exception of a couple of teams, they're always going to be difficult. They're always going to be difficult games to play. You know, they're going to want Leeds to come and enjoy watching, you know, trying to beat Leeds and all the rest of it. And I don't think there's any teams really that are that weak. I think Rotherham will probably be in and around the bottom. I think Middlesbrough, once they get their act together, they'll be all right. You know, the teams that you're looking around the bottom, Middlesbrough versus bottom two playing each other at the on telly on Middlesbrough versus, I can't think who it is now.
Hang on, let me have a look. I've got it up here. Hang on. Middlesbrough versus, it's gone off. 2 minutes. Let's have a look. Middlesbrough. God, you really called it with Middlesbrough, didn't you?
I did. I gotta say, I did.
What are you saying?
Sheffield Wednesday. They got Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah, I think Sheffield Wednesday will be right now. I think Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham are probably the like League One teams playing in the Championship. I think everybody else is really competitive. So I think Middlesbrough, I'll sack Carrick at some point, and they'll eventually pull it together, because I think they have got some quality.
Yeah, Warnock back to Middlesbrough. You heard it here first.
Yeah, could be.
He's injured. You're on about Spence, aren't you, mate? Yeah, Spence is out for several weeks now, unfortunately. But never mind, he'll be back. He'll be back.
Let's not get hung up on the negative.
Injuries. Come on, we won 3-0. Let's.
Injuries happen, and sure, it's sad. But we've seen him for 7 minutes. We know his qualities, but the facts is we've not even had a chance to really miss him yet. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not played any minutes really. So let's just take it for what it is. He'll be here when he's back fit, and then he'll come in hopefully, or he won't come in because Aylin's playing so well. So, you know what I mean?
One thing, I mean, we've seen a little bit of Kamara now. Obviously, a glimpse against Sheffield Wednesday. I think he had a little bit longer today as well. It obviously very small sample size, but again, I thought you could see that quality in him when he came on, and you know, he's a big chap as well, and he's got the technique, he's got the movement. I mean, you know, he's a player you can bring in against Hull, and you can trust them, can't you? This is what we need, isn't it, Jason? We need those players you can bring in that you can trust and go, you're going to go in and do a job.
He's got the right mentality again as well. You know, really good experience. Rangers are a massive, massive club. Let's not get it twisted. Rangers are a huge club to play for, especially when you're playing for them in Europe and you're achieving. You know what I mean? He was a big part of taking them all the way to a final. So yeah, absolutely. I think you can bring him in and trust him, and he'll be able to deal with playing for Leeds United, and he's got the quality too. Like, I think he's got every bit of quality that Archie Gray's got, but he's got 10 years on Archie Gray. You know what I mean? So I think they'll fight out for that deep lying playmaker kind of role. I think Kamara can also fill a role playing a little bit further forward and going in that 10, as can Archie Gray. They both can. But it doesn't look like that's going to be how they're used. It looks like they're going to be used as part of that midfield three. And then you're going to have Pirro, Somerville, Nonto, Anthony, Rutter, Bamford playing the 9 and 10 between them, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
we've got so many options, haven't we?
The choices are just
so
staggering.
Many options.
That's what we need. Back Gruev, do you think it's going to be interesting to see how he does it? It's difficult for a player coming from another league to kind of adapt and it's one of those situations. It's like, well, you've got to throw him in at some point to try and get up to speed with it. But at the same time, it's so vital. You need players who are on it kind of immediately. It's almost tricky to kind of get those players in and amongst it when they've not been here for pre-season and signed later on.
Gruev's probably going to be a bit of a project. To be honest, I definitely think he'll play minutes, and I think he'll get games. But I can see him very much playing when Ampadu's rested or injured. I think that's where he will find the introduction to his starting of games. Because I think what I've watched of him, I can't say that I've seen loads of him, but since we signed him, obviously I've done a bit of recce. Everything that I've seen, he's very much not a destroyer, but he's a ball-winning midfielder who's got the abilities to be a bit of a playmaker as well from deeper. He's not got massive pace. Like, Ampadu's not got massive pace either. He strides out. He's good in the air. He's good in the tackle. So I can very much see it being him or Ampadu, or we'll play them both when we're playing Leicester at home.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Something, or Leicester away maybe, or something. That's what I see as the profile. He can even play in a back line. He could potentially play left centre back. So you might see him there at some point. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Will be interesting.
Enzio, thanks for your comment, mate. Afternoon, lads. Thought Pirro, Nonto and Rutter were excellent. Cree overdoing it a bit for me. He's all the qualities of being a great player apart from decision making. Hope it clicks for him soon. Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about Somerville, and I mean, I think it has clicked for him in the past. I really do. I think he's at times been our best attacker. But the good thing is with the options, we're not reliant on him. If he's not at it, you can pull him off. And I think it's fantastic that he's going to be at players all game. 60 minutes, you switch it, and you just give defenders a different problem that they've not been used to all game.
The thing is with Somerville, he's got all of the natural abilities that you can't train. So his speed, his dynamism, his balance, like you can't teach a lot of that. What you can teach is decision making, weight of pass, all them kind of nuances that he kind of can be frustrating with him. You can teach all of them. And the fact that he hasn't got many or any of them is the reason that he's not in the Premier League. Because Premier League teams would absolutely take a chance on all of his raw dynamism and his talents that he's got. So yeah, it'll come for him. Like I say, I'm not as big of a fan of his as you, but I think 100% can see his natural talents. And he does cause defenders. Defenders are scared stiff of him. So yeah, I agree with you completely.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the benefit having so many options. Yeah, like Enzio says, best bench for a long time. 100%. Loads of options today. So, I mean, if you're getting to that whole game, then what would you do, Jace? Would you rest a couple of the players that have played today, or how would you be manoeuvring things around, do you think?
Tough to say, because we don't know the knocks and problems that probably have come out of today. It's hard to change a winning team and a team that have played as well as they have done today. What you want to do at the moment is get as much consistency in place as possible. I'd be more likely, more of the mindset of play exactly the same team on Wednesday and then rest a couple at home against Watford. Because it's a home game, you can kind of adjust a little bit differently to that. But if I were going to make any changes, it would probably be Anthony starting the game over Somerville. That would be the change that I would probably look at. And maybe, this is no slander on his performance today, but maybe bringing out Gray. It's just a lot of football for a 17-year-old lad. You know, we don't want to burn him out. I saw somebody compare him to Lewis Cook the other day, and the route that we had with Lewis Cook in the starting lineup, and then the injuries that he's gone on to suffer since. And it can't all be put down to playing that amount of games, but some of it can. Like, your body when you're 17, 18, 19-year-old is still adjusting, growing, building. And if you're demanding top-level professional football on it every 3 or 4 days, it has its impacts. So I'm keen not to burn Gray out.
What about? I was thinking about that, and then I said, I don't know. I was on YouTube the other day, and it came up when we beat Birmingham 5-4, and Bellingham were there. You know, Bellingham was 16 in that midfield for Birmingham. I mean, I know he's a freak. He's Bellingham.
He's a freak,
but,
man.
You know, but you do wonder
He's a
if
freak.
kind of. I mean, he was playing a lot for Birmingham, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Young age, wasn't he?
He absolutely was. I think you've got to be careful that you don't compare with the extremes in that kind of moment. Like, people do, oh, well, Wayne Rooney did it. Like, yeah, but you're talking about one of the greatest players ever. You're not talking about just a run-of-the-mill championship player. I'm not saying that's what Gray will develop into. I'm sure that he probably will go on to play Premier League football, but we don't know quite what his level is going to be yet. And yet you have got to take time with some of these players. I think Jude Bellingham is exactly the same as that. He's a freak. The lad, I mean, for me, he'll be the next English Ballon d'Or winner. I think he's that good. He's ridiculous. So good. Ridiculous. 19-year-old, and he's already played 25 games for England, and I think he's made a century of appearances at first team level already. It's just a freak. Archie's certainly got massive potential. Like, he to be able to do what he's done in this first 6 games for us this season, and the amount of football that he's played as well. And Daniel Farke, said before the season started, like, you've got to be careful with youngsters. You can't, give him too much. And then he's played him literally nearly every minute. So it shows how much he's obviously doing in training. And, he's in front of Glenn Kamara right now. And, that's an established first team professional. Just top player. But we have to balance his minute right.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, isn't it, how some players can come through and just have that impact at such a young age. And for me, Archie just looks like one of those special players that is kind of ready. But I totally agree that you can't risk the burnout factor. And, we've got those options now. I think at the start of the season, before Kamara and Gruev came in, I think, we were there for the Shrewsbury game. And I was like, please don't play Archie Gray in that game. But, it was like, what else could we do? And, Farke's in the mindset of, building up momentum, not just giving people minutes for no reason.
Sorry, go.
No, I was just going to say, Kevin, afternoon, Browney Jayson, afternoon, mate. How are you feeling after that one, Kevin?
His decision-making, Archie's, is just phenomenal for somebody of such a young age. And, it makes me laugh because I was chuckling to myself the other day because I was watching the under-21s. And, you'll laugh at me for bringing this up again, but I always find myself kind of wanting to say, I told you so. But some of the players that were mentioned last season, bring in JB, they can't do any worse, and all the rest of it. And then people have actually watched him for the first time this season, and I'm not hating on the kid, right? But he's so far away from being first team level. And now people have actually watched him rather than just hearing the comments of a few people on Twitter or him, doing all right in under 21s in the second division last season, not even in the top division of under 21 football, second division. And they're saying that they're ready for Premier League football. They're so far away from it, some of these. So the fact that Archie can kind of break through that mold and be ready for first team football shows the quality that he's got. But I was watching the game the other day, and we were playing at York Stadium against. Oh God, what it now?
What did we play in under 21s?
League 2 team, I think it was, but they're under 21s. Anyway, we won 3-2. JB scored the first goal, but he was terrible. For most of the game, it was just so slow and ponderous on the ball and getting caught in possession, and it's just night and day from first team football. So fair props to Archer.
Yeah, I think as well, when you go to the game and you see the level of professional football, I think when you're actually in the stadium and when you see it, you're not just watching it on TV. When you're actually there watching it, how hard it is. I mean, in the Shrewsbury game,
it would have his depth.
The only game I've been able to watch in person this year so far, unfortunately, but it was really hard for him, and it's that and you compare it with how Archie was in that game, and it's fine margins, but it means so much, and it's so difficult to be at that top level. It's unreal how high the standard is, even at that level. Kevin, I'm buzzing. I live 15 minutes away by bus from the Millwall ground. Oh, mate, there you go. You can rub that in, can't you, for a while now? Good stuff, Kevin. Also, we was in the pub with a lot of Millwall supporters. They were
brave, man.
Wow, Kevin. Look at you. Did you have a Leeds shirt on as well, or what's the score there? Brave man, definitely. Enzo looks class, does Archie indeed. He definitely could go with going on loan, playing proper man's football. I think you mean JB there, don't you? And yeah, you're absolutely spot on, Jason. And we've had this for a long time, these shouts, especially when we were struggling, like throw Gellart in there and throw Greenwood in there and throw all these players drama. I mean, hands up, I was guilty of the drama brigade. I was like, why isn't this guy getting in? And like you said, 4 or 5 managers have just thought, no, thank you. Speaking of the manager, Daniel Farke, it just looks to me like the missing piece of the jigsaw.
Like this, it just fits. It just fits for us. It does.
For me, it's someone who's got the knowledge, he's got the experience. He knows what it takes to win this league. He knows what needs to be done. He's clearly, it's not a head coach role. He's taken a bigger chunk of the pie. He's taken a bigger piece of the pie there. He's looking at recruitment. Gruev's his man. So he's really kind of watching everything. But I mean, you've just got to say what a job he's done so far. I know, we could have had a few more points. We've not won at home, etc. But for how he's pulling it together, you just can't help but commend him, can you really?
I think I was probably similar to a lot of Leeds fans in that I was a bit guilty of just associating him with Norwich. He's got 2 relegations, and hear his voice and think it's a bit funny and all the rest of it. But when you analysed it and then saw 2 promotions, record points total, managed to rebuild after a relegation, started to make a lot of sense. Then when you actually start seeing him work and operate, and then you start seeing his team play football, for me, it's as close. I'm going to say this lightly, but it's as close to Bielsa as we could ever wish to get. Ever, because that man can't be touched and can't be compared, but he's very similar in his meticulous approach. He wants to play risk and reward football in that, we dominate possession, movement, we pull players out of position. When we were at the Shrewsbury game, I was saying to you, and I was trying to say it as loud as I could to try and make as many fans hear it as possible. Like, this is part of the football. We have to get used to the fact that players are going to receive possession in dangerous positions. And we saw it today. There were several times today where the ball got played into Ampadu or Pirro coming deep or Byram taking a central position, and they'd spray a ball off to one of the open spaces, and we've then effectively beaten the press. You know what I mean? And that's how we're going to play. And the better that the players get at doing plan A, very similar to Bielsa, the more successful the results will become. So, I said to my cousin today, watching the game with him, our season starts today effectively. The games before international break were our pre-season. I believe that, ironing out some of the issues and stuff, and that's how it's kind of proven. And hopefully now we can kick on, and we know we're not out of this. Like, there's a lot of championship season to go. We've seen what's happened with Southampton in the last 2 games. Daniel Farke's, he's put a real squad together, and I feel like he's got a real kind of buy-in from the players as well. So, yeah, I'm buzzing, mate. And somebody said their best signing we made was Farke. I find it hard to disagree with that. Maybe apart from Ampadu, because it's
Enzio with that one. It's going to be fascinating as well how we're going to stack up against Leicester, Preston, Southampton. I mean, especially Southampton and Leicester with the quality they have, although Southampton seems like the wheel come off a little bit. But when we come up against Leicester,
gone again.
It's 4th of November.
We're back again.
Cutting off
in and out. Yeah, it's robots coming again.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You're back. Sorry, repeat that.
Someone's going to be making a call to Vodafone after this. I think so. Get a refund, I think. No, I was just saying, it's going to be fascinating how they stack up when it comes to against Leicester, who do have that extra quality, that Premier League quality. I mean, how do you think that'll stack up? Obviously, it's far away, but it's going to be fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, looking at Southampton the other night, I think if Southampton played the way that they did against Leicester against us, I think we'd rip them apart. Because I just think they'd be ready-made for us. Like, they'd be absolutely ready-made for us. I mean, some of the defending that Southampton put out in that second half was just horrific. But yeah, Leicester are an interesting. They've just got so much quality, haven't they? Mavidi, Jamie Vardy, some of the players that Ricardo Pereira's playing like this new role in midfield, and he's just got so much quality. I mean, he's a top fullback. He's Ricardo Pereira, but he's playing this new role now. They've just got quality running all the way through the team. I mean, they had Wout West on the bench the other day. I seen that, and the bench is ridiculous. They had Daka on the bench. Ian Acho was on the bench. Like, it's just crazy.
Who's in the better position? Who after Leeds and Leicester? Who do you think is more prepped to actually go and win the league, for example?
I think we've got a better 11. I think we've got the best 11 in the league. I do believe that. When everybody's fit and ready, I think they've got a better squad and more in their arsenal to change it, even though we've got a lot as well. And I think given the start to the season, they've had slightly less disruption at Leicester. They're probably in a slightly better position. But I still think there's a long way to go. Ricardo Maresca's got no championship experience. Like, there's plenty that can kind of fall down in their arsenal as well. Saw the week before they lost at home at Hull. Yeah. The same day that we drew with Sheffield Wednesday, they lost at home to Hull. So, they're not infallible. But I'd expect Leicester to be in the top 2.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Kevin, just following up, don't wear Leeds kits anymore because of what happened to me in the 80s in London. Oh, mate, I can imagine. It must have been absolutely rough back then. Going to watch games in the 80s. Oof, shocking. So a good day for Leeds United, Jason. It feels nice, doesn't it, to have
it goes really nice.
How long have I been saying to you I would love for us to just win a game comfortably? And we've actually managed to do it.
It's funny you should say that, because I was saying to my cousin while we were watching, let's just get a second goal and wrap this game up. And I've not been able to say that in a long time, because I truly believe that when we scored the second goal, the game was done. Yeah. It was probably done at 1-0. But games are always, when there's only a goal in it. When we've gone 2-0 up recently over the past couple of years, it's still not been over. And it felt over to me at 2-0. Yeah. It was just nice to then sit back and relax and enjoy the game. So, and that again just is testament to the way that the team's playing and the structure and tactics that Farke's bringing to the system. So yeah, I'm delighted, mate. I'm absolutely delighted. I'm not even thinking about the negatives of the first 5 games. Birmingham, West Brom, the missed opportunities. It's no point. Like I said, that were our pre-season, and we start now, and we've shown that we're going to be up there. We're going to be in the top 6. For me, I think we've got way more than enough to be top 6. Top 2 could potentially be beyond us, just because of everything getting pulled together. A couple of injuries in bad positions. I do worry about what would happen if we lost Rodon, if we lost, Byram long term, if we lost Ampadu. Obviously, I don't know how Gruev would be able to replace him. Pirro, I think it goes into that. We haven't got another Pirro. No. We haven't got another Rodon. You know what I mean? There is players within that squad where we don't, and I think that Southampton's, Leicester's probably do have a bit more to equip themselves with. But we didn't have
January transfer window as well.
Yeah,
I suppose,
that's true.
If it gets to that.
The same goes for when we won the league last time. We didn't have another Ben White. We didn't need another Ben White because we were there all season. We didn't have another Calvin.
That squad was so scary to fit in. Like it really was, wasn't it? That was the one that went up, absolutely. Well, we're hoping to be back tomorrow night for a little EFL review as well. We're going to be chatting Huddersfield Town, Bradford City. It could be some big news coming out at Huddersfield Town. We think.
I don't even think I need to come tomorrow.
I know. Well, this is it. I think with what's going to break, I think it'll be a bit dominated by Huddersfield Town potentially there.
Are we doing a review on Thursday of the Hull or?
Well, I was thinking, are you post match? Yeah,
I could probably do.
Yeah. We haven't done it. We haven't done a late night post match until
since Liverpool.
To mention it, yeah, the horrible Liverpool where I was in my kitchen. You were in a hotel somewhere, and it was just
Yeah.
like, why are we doing this to ourselves?
6-0 loss. Alarm going off in background. We're in a hotel. Oh,
I was
God.
convinced you'd done that yourself just to get off the stream, mate. To be honest, I tell you.
It felt like it, mate.
Absolutely. But yeah, if you're watching live, please do smash a like on the video. Get your comments in after. If you're watching the rewind or the record of it on YouTube, a recorded version, I should say, please do smash a like, get your comments in. Or if you're listening on Spotify, we're now on Spotify, or every episode is uploaded on there for your podcasting pleasure as well. Jason, is that everything we've covered? Are we happy?
I think so. I think I've waxed lyrical about Rutter. I've waxed lyrical about Ampadu, Joe Rodon, Sam Byram. Yeah, there were no negatives to today, were there? There were no negatives. You know, besides maybe a couple of moments in the first 15 minutes, maybe between. I thought Melier looked a bit shaky. With his feet, but he got it together. I thought it was interesting. I don't know if you noticed this, but he was out at half time with the subs, just with the ball at his feet. And I think again, mentality is just brilliant. He just he obviously recognised the fact that he'd had a bit of a tough first half at times and wanted to just make sure that he was shored up. Delighted, mate. Delighted.
I still feel like a couple of those players that have taken hammerings over the last couple of him, Strauch, they're still building that confidence a bit, aren't they? Is that bit where Strike headed one out for a corner and you're like, why have you done that, mate? There's still them kind of moments, but hopefully as the season goes on and we get more good results, they iron that stuff out.
I'm not going to start being revisionist. I was not confident at all with Strike being our starting centre-back this season at all, pre-season. And to be fair to him, he's starting to prove the doubters wrong. He has come back round. He's had some good performances. I thought he was good again today on the whole. He had a couple of moments, but again, you're always going to have a couple of moments. But his decision making, there were a couple towards the back post where he flicked them away from really dangerous set pieces. Thought he played really, really well. For me, he's got my backing 100%, as they all will have. Just regardless, as long as you pull on the shirt and you're always going to have the backing, but I did worry over Strike, and I think overall he's started to build his confidence back up, as has Melier. I didn't think Melier would be here, and from what we heard off the interview, we turned down mega money for him. I am stunned to hear that we've turned down 20+ million for him.
Yeah. And did you hear the other interview where he was saying, he wanted to kind of put it right at Leeds, and he did. I mean, you could be a little bit cynical and go, is that just because you're staying or what? But hey,
I didn't buy it completely. If I'm honest, if he got a big offer that it was going to be number one,
you cynical man, Jason.
I'm not buying it. It were only a few months ago that he said that he'd be willing to look at leaving if he had a number one spot offer. So I'm not totally buying it, but. I still back him. It's a career for these guys, so I get it. I'm not going to ever get upset at somebody potentially wanting to leave a championship club, whether it's Leeds United or not. I get it if they can better themselves, but that side, he's equipped himself as well as possible this season, and he's kept the number one jersey. Got good competition behind him, and he's fighting for it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all positive. It's all positive here in the world of Leeds United. Can you believe it?
For a change.
I know. Well, I'll be watching those highlights all the way till Wednesday now, I think. Guys, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. We'll be back. We've got a couple of shows planned for this week as well, so we hope to see you then. But enjoy your afternoon, Leeds United fans, and you can just watch the highlights over and over again and enjoy yourself.
I'll watch that first goal over and over again. I can watch that all day, all week.
Amazing. I've been Stephen Brown, and with me, Jason Booker. Jason, thank you very much, mate.
Welcome as always, mate.
Got big smiles on his face for a change. It's lovely. Thank you.